Yes, good morning, students. So, yesterday we have studied about moment of inertia. Now, let's continue it. Okay, moment of inertia is the measure of rotational inertia. Okay, the rotational inertia is measured by moment of inertia. Okay, and it is given by summation of mr square. So, now let's continue. Okay, so it is represented by I. I is equal to summation of mr square. Okay, this we call it as moment of inertia. Okay, now let's discuss radius of gyration. Okay, radius of gyration. Moment of inertia, yesterday we have studied, given by summation of mr square. Okay, now radius of gyration. We know that any rigid body, radius of gyration, okay, which generally be represented by k. Okay, any rigid body rotating about some axis, this is the axis of rotation. And we know that in a rigid body, there is a point where whole mass of the body is supposed to be concentrated. That we call it as the center of mass. So the perpendicular distance between the center of mass and axis of rotation is called as radius of gyration. So radius of gyration is the perpendicular distance between the center of mass and the axis of rotation. So write down radius of gyration is the perpendicular distance between the center of mass and axis of rotation, okay, and this distance we represent it by k. Okay, as it is the distance between the center of mass and the axis of rotation, so its unit is meter. Its SI unit is meter. Why? Because it is the distance. Okay, now let's find one more expression for the radius of gyration. Let this rigid body has a number of particles, m1, m2, m3 and so on, mn, n number of particles are there. Now let each particle is of the same mass m. Each particle is of mass m. Okay. Now we know that the moment of inertia of this rigid body, is m into r1 square. Okay, like m1 r1 square, m into r1 square is the moment of inertia of the first particle, plus m into r2 square and so on, m into rn square upon, okay, this is the moment of inertia of the rigid body having a number of particles, n number of particles, each particle having the same mass. Okay, yesterday we have studied that moment of inertia is given by m1 r1 square plus m2 r2 square and so on. Okay, here each particle is of the same mass, so the moment of inertia of the rigid body is equal to m into r1 square and so on. Okay, so you can take it this m outside. Okay, r1 square plus r2 square plus rn square. This is the moment of inertia of the rigid body. Now, what will be the moment of inertia of the rigid body about the center of mass? The moment of inertia of the center of mass about the axis of rotation will be equal to mass of the whole rigid body. Why? Because at the center of mass, we know that whole mass of the system, whole mass of the body is supposed to be concentrated. So what is the total mass of the body? Let it is equal to capital M. M into square of the perpendicular distance from the axis of rotation, which is k, which we call it as the radius of gyration, which is equal to m into k square. Okay, so this is the moment of inertia of the rigid body. This is the moment of inertia of the center of mass. As we know that the whole mass of the body is supposed to be concentrated at the center of mass. So equating these two, we get m into k square is equal to m r1 square and so on rn square. So k is equal to, okay, this can be written as mass of one particle into the total number of particles. The total mass of the body can be written as mass of one particle into the total number of particles. Okay, let there are n number of particles and each particle is of mass m. So m into r1 square, rn square. So k is equal to the radius of gyration. Okay, this is k square. So k will be equal to under root r1 square plus r2 square, so on, rn square divided by n. So another expression of radius of gyration. Okay, what is radius of gyration? It is the perpendicular distance between the center of mass and the axis of rotation. Okay, so the perpendicular distance of the center of mass from the axis of rotation, we call it as the radius of gyration, represented by k. As it is the distance, so its unit is meter. So this k distance, we call it as radius of gyration. Now we are finding out the expression of radius of gyration. The moment of inertia of the whole body is equal to m1 r1 square plus m2 r2 square and so on. Now let each particle is of the same mass. Okay, so m r1 square plus so on. Take this m common. This is the expression. Now the moment of inertia of the center of mass will be the same as the moment of inertia of the whole body. The moment of inertia of the center of mass is mass at the center of mass. At the center of mass, whole mass of the body is supposed to be concentrated. Let the total mass of the body is capital N. Capital M into what is the perpendicular distance? K, radius of gyration. M into K square. This is the moment of inertia of the body, whole body. This is the moment of inertia about the center of mass. As it is the same, equating this, we get k is equal to under root r1 square plus r2 square plus rn square divided by n. So this is the expression of radius of gyration. Okay, this k we call it as radius of gyration. Okay, now few relations here we'll find out. Okay, first let's find the expression of rotational kinetic energy. Okay, any body in linear motion, we know that its kinetic energy is translational kinetic energy, which is equal to half mv square. Okay, but if a body is rotating about any axis of rotation, about a fixed axis, then the kinetic energy will be rotational kinetic energy. Okay, now here we'll find out the expression of rotational kinetic energy. Okay, so whenever a body is rotating, it possesses, as it is in motion, it will possess kinetic energy, but this kinetic energy will be rotational. So let's find out the expression of rotational kinetic energy. Okay, any body, rigid body rotating about its axis, each particle will have some kinetic energy. Okay, first particle, there are n number of particles in that body. Each particle will have some kinetic energy. The first particle, its kinetic energy will be half m1 v1 square. Second particle, half m2 v2 square. This way, there are n number of particles. Okay, so the total kinetic energy of the body will be equal to the kinetic energy of the first particle, of the second particle, and so on if there are n number of particles. Okay, the sum of the kinetic energy. Now, as the body is rotating, the linear velocity we know is related to the angular velocity. All these expressions we have studied in uniform circular motion. How is v related to angular velocity? How is linear acceleration related to angular acceleration? Okay, we know that V is equal to R omega. V1 will be equal to R1 into omega. Omega is what? Angular velocity. The same way, velocity of the second particle will be equal to R2 into omega and so on. Okay, but the angular velocity, the whole body is rotating with a constant angular velocity. So the angular velocity of each particle will be the same. You will not write it as omega 1, omega 2. Okay, the angular velocity of each particle is the same. Okay, so V1 is R1 omega V2. Substituting it over here. So what do we get? This expression will be equal to half M1 V1 square R1 square omega square plus half M2 R2 square omega square and so on. And for the nth particle, half Mn Rn square omega square. Take this omega square and half outside. Okay, take it common. Half outside, inside the bracket, M1 R1 square plus M2 R2 square, Mn Rn square into omega square. What is the bracket term? The bracket term is summation of Mr square. Okay, M1 R1 square plus M2 R2 square. So this is half summation of Mr square into omega square. Now what is this summation of Mr square? This we know is equal to the moment of inertia. Hence, this kinetic energy is the rotational kinetic energy and is given by the rotational kinetic energy is given by half I into omega square is the expression of rotational kinetic energy. Okay, so here we find out the total kinetic energy, rotational kinetic energy. Each particle is having some kinetic energy as it is in motion. So the kinetic energy is given by of each particle is given by this expression. So the total kinetic energy will be equal to sum of all these. Okay, now as all these particles are rotating about the fixed axis, so V1 will convert in terms of angular velocity, linear velocity will be converted in terms of angular velocity, substituted here. Okay, so this is summation of mr square, which we know is equal to moment of inertia. Hence, the rotational kinetic energy is equal to half I into omega square is the expression of rotational kinetic energy. Okay, now let's find out the relation between torque and moment of inertia, tau and I. So write down the relation between torque and moment of inertia. Okay, write the next heading, relation between torque and moment of inertia, tau and I. Tau is the torque and I is the moment of inertia. Let's find the relation between them. Okay, we know that torque is equal to force into the perpendicular distance and there are a number of particles in a rigid body. So the total torque will be equal to the torque experienced by the first particle plus by the second particle and so on. So the tau experienced by the body is equal to force into the perpendicular distance. Okay. So for the first particle, tau will be equal to force on the first particle and let the perpendicular distance from the axis of rotation is r1. The same way, torque on the second particle will be equal to and so on for the nth particle. Okay, now force is equal to mass into acceleration, mass of the first particle m1 and let the acceleration of the first particle is a1 plus m2 a2 into r2 and so on. Okay, now each particle will have linear acceleration which will be related to the angular acceleration. Okay, in uniform circular motion, we have already studied how is the linear acceleration related to angular acceleration. Okay, A1 is equal to R into alpha A linear acceleration, the distance, perpendicular distance into the angular acceleration. So A1 will be equal to R1 into alpha. Okay, now every particle will have the same angular acceleration. So you won't write it as alpha 1, alpha 2 and so on. A2 is equal to R2 into alpha and so on. So hence tau is equal to M1 R1 into R1, R1 square into alpha plus M2 R2 square into alpha for the nth particle Mn Rn square into alpha. Take this alpha common inside the bracket M1 R1 square plus M2 R2 square and so on, which we know is equal to summation of Mr square into alpha. What is this summation of Mr square? This is the moment of inertia. Hence, tau is equal to I into alpha. So the relation between torque and moment of inertia is tau is equal to I into alpha. Okay, this you can remember it by the expressions of linear motion. Okay, in case of linear motion, like there it is mass. Okay, mass is the measurement of the linear inertia. Here we call it as moment of inertia. Moment of inertia is the measure of rotational inertia. Okay, so there we use mass, here we use it as moment of inertia. The same way, there the force is applied, here torque is applied. So in place of force, tau is there. Okay, there the velocity is linear velocity v, here the velocity is angular velocity omega. Okay, now we know that in case of linear motion, the relation is force is equal to mass into acceleration. Now in rotational motion, the analog of force will be tau. The analog of mass is moment of inertia. Okay, and in place of linear acceleration, we'll write it as angular acceleration. So here we get the relation. So you can remember by using the analog in linear motion. Linear motion, force is related to the linear or the mass by F is equal to m into A. So tau in place of force will be tau, mass, it will be moment of inertia, linear acceleration, angular acceleration. So tau is equal to I into alpha. Okay, so this is the relation between torque and moment of inertia. Okay, now let's find out the relation between angular momentum and moment of inertia. Relation between angular momentum we represent it by L. Okay, so the relation between angular momentum and moment of inertia, L and I. Okay, we know that the angular momentum, whenever the body is rotating, it possesses angular momentum, and the angular momentum is equal to the sum of the angular momentum of each particle. Okay, the angular momentum of the first particle is linear momentum into the distance, perpendicular distance from the axis of rotation. That is, it is equal to linear momentum of the first particle P1 into the distance R1, perpendicular distance. The same way, the angular momentum of the second particle is P2 into R2, and for the nth particle is, okay, now the linear momentum is mass into velocity, M1, V1, R1. Same way for the nth particle, Mn, Vn, Rn. Okay, now again velocity, here each particle, the linear velocity will be related to angular velocity. V1 is equal to R1 into omega. And same way for the nth particle, Vn will be equal to Rn into omega. Okay, again omega, angular velocity will be constant for every particle. Okay, so this can be written as m1 r1 into r1 square. For the second particle, you get it as m2 r2 square mn rn square. Take this omega common. Okay, what is the bracket term? Summation of mr square into omega. What is this summation of mr square? Moment of inertia. So L is equal to I omega. L is equal to I omega is the relation between angular momentum and moment of inertia. Okay, in case of linear motion, we have linear momentum is equal to mass into velocity. Now, in order to remember it, in case of rotational motion, linear motion, there will be linear momentum. Rotational motion, the momentum will be angular momentum. In place of mass, what is the analog to mass? Moment of inertia. What is the analog to linear velocity? It is omega. So L is equal to I omega, the same expression you get it. Okay. So in order to remember, you can see the analog from the linear motion and can write. Okay. Otherwise, this can be derived in this manner. So how is the angular momentum related to moment of inertia? L is equal to I omega. Okay. So this is the relation between angular momentum and moment of inertia. Okay. Now, we have studied conservation of angular momentum. Conservation of angular momentum, which states that if no external torque is acting on the body, then its angular momentum remains constant. Okay, angular momentum is constant, it means I omega is constant. Okay, now let's again discuss conservation of angular momentum. Conservation of angular momentum. Okay, we know that tau is equal to dl by dt. Yesterday we have derived this expression. Okay, L is equal to r cross p vector, differentiating both sides with respect to time. We get this equation, tau is equal to dl by dt. Now, what is conservation of angular momentum? If no external tau is acting on the system, that is dl by dt is 0. So, L is constant. Why? Because differentiation of the L with respect to time is 0. The differentiation of any quantity is 0. It means that quantity is constant. So L is constant. L is constant. What is L equals to? I omega is constant. So what is constant? I omega is constant. So if the moment of inertia increases, its angular velocity will decrease. Okay, and vice versa. Moment of inertia decreases, angular velocity of the rotating body increases. Okay, so conservation of angular momentum, no external torque is acting, angular momentum is constant, and what is angular momentum equals to? I omega, that is I omega is constant. So here we'll discuss few examples based on this only. I omega is constant. If no external torque is acting, I omega will be constant. Moment of inertia increases, angular velocity will decrease, and vice versa. Okay, note it down. Okay, now write down examples of conservation of angular momentum. Examples of conservation of angular momentum. Okay, write the first one. Okay, a ballet dancer or a circus acrobat. Examples. Okay, first example is a ballet dancer or an acrobat. Okay, while they are rotating, when they stretch their arms and legs, okay, when they stretch their arms and legs, what happens? R increases. Okay, let me make a figure. This is a ballet dancer. Okay, hands and legs, arms and legs. When they stretch their arms and legs, this is the axis of rotation. They are rotating about its center, where this is the axis of rotation. When they stretch their arms and legs, what happens? R increases. This R increases. So the moment I is equal to summation of mr square. So the moment of inertia increases. Okay, as r increases, moment of inertia increases. Okay, and no external torque is acting on it. That is I omega is constant. So what happens? Angular velocity decreases. So their angular velocity decreases. And vice versa, when they fold their arms and legs, okay, when they fold their arms and legs, then R decreases. So the moment of inertia decreases and they will increase their angular velocity. Okay, the angular velocity is increased when they fold their arms or legs. When they stretch, okay, this is stretching of arms or leg, they will decrease their angular velocity, and when they fold, the angular velocity increases. Okay, so this is in case of, write down, in a ballet dancer while rotating, when stretches her arms or legs, when stretches her arms and legs, then write it in the same mode. R increases, I increases, as I omega is constant, so omega decreases. Okay, when folds her arms and legs, when folds her arms and legs, R decreases. Okay, this is decreasing about the axis of rotation. R is decreasing, so I decreases because I is equal to summation of mr square. I omega is constant, so angular velocity increases. Okay, write the second example. Write down, if polar ice cap melts, if polar ice cap melts, okay, like from the poles, the ice melts, write down, then equatorial radius increases, equatorial radius increases. Okay, now first understand it. Here the polar ice cap melts, so water, this will be accumulated along the equator, so the equatorial radius will increase, that is R increases, so moment of inertia increases, and hence angular velocity of the earth decreases. Okay, we are assuming that the mass of the earth remains constant. Okay, from ice to water it is becoming, so let us assume that mass of the earth remains constant. So what happens? R, this equatorial radius increases, so I is equal to summation of mr square, moment of inertia increases, as no external torque is acting, so omega decreases. Okay, so now we also know that omega is equal to 2 pi upon capital T, time period of the earth about its axis of rotation. Right now it is 24 hours. Okay, what will be the effect on the time period? The time period, as omega is decreasing, so the time period of rotation will increase. Okay, so the time period of rotation will increase. That is, it will be more than 24 hours. Okay, the time period of the earth about its axis of will increase. Okay, so in all these examples, no external torque is acting. So I into omega is constant. So omega is depending upon the moment of inertia. If moment of inertia increases, the angular velocity will decrease and vice versa. Okay, note it down, hurry up. Okay, next is, we'll discuss few more examples and then some analog we'll see from the rotational motion. Okay, now we'll continue on the next turn. Okay, so don't leave the meeting. Let me take your attendance.